There's this constant idea of you have to embrace the suffering. And as a former contortionist, as somebody who had PTSD, who's been a competitive athlete, who's a primitive survivalist, I love embrace the suck. But if you're just embracing the suffering and you don't understand what the full spectrum of suffering is and what we're talking about today, I guarantee you're going to get burned out, you're going to be emotionally drained, you're going to be irritable. In this video, we're going to talk about what embrace the suffering really means. You're going to understand the full spectrum of suffering. You're going to see what you and most people are missing when they say embrace the suffering. And most importantly, you're going to see that resilience is not the only thing you can get out of this mindset of embrace the suck. My name is Sarah. This is the Joyful Warrior channel. It is a beautiful day. Check it out. Let's talk about the healthy way to embrace suffering. You have to start with seeing suffering as a full spectrum with put some dirt in it, suffering on one end, and then like self-love and rest and recovery on the other end. Now, before you go like being all tough dude on me, let's look at some very common examples throughout history of people who embrace the full spectrum of suffering. Okay, even look at like Roman warriors, right? Super famous for their battles, for conquering, for having these amazingly chiseled bodies, or at least the statues are chiseled, and I think they're just so beautiful. I definitely don't have a crush on an inanimate object. Anyway, if you look at Roman warriors, they're known for their grit, they're known for their resilience, for embracing the suffering and going head on into every challenge. But Roman warriors also had spa days. They would go and sit in hot water and get massaged with luxurious oils. Before going into battle, they would have massive feasts with wine and food and sex and music. They understood the full spectrum of suffering. That yes, you can go into battle, you can be super jacked and strong, you can handle anything more when you embrace the self-care, the rest, the things that allow you to gather your strength and then suffer or train weights. I mean, I feel like suffering's a harsh word, but you know what I mean. You absolutely cannot be a strong, resilient person mentally, physically, emotionally if you don't give yourself the rest and recovery. I mean, look at UFC fighters. They're some of the toughest people in the world, and they also have some of the best nutrition, some of the best massage therapists, some of the best sleep. They understand the spectrum of suffering. This is so much of my philosophy in Joyful Warrior, hence the joyful and the warrior. And I really think most things in life succeed when you can balance this and understand the spectrum. But what feeds each end of the spectrum, what informs each end of the spectrum is different for everybody. I mean, for me, I love to throw some barbells. I love to do primitive survival and like go into the woods and just like do tough, badass shit. That's my resilient suffering end. But on the other end, I love getting an oil massage. I love having a chill picnic on the beach and a bar of chocolate. So for you to embrace suffering, take a moment and think about what informs each end. Where is your push end? Where is your grit? And then what allows you to get through those moments? What self-care, what rest, what recovery do you need to have the full spectrum? My wish for you is that your suffering is for something that brings you joy, and that your suffering is balanced with recovery and self-care. And I'm always here if you want support with that in balancing grit and grace. All you have to do is subscribe and hop on the mailing list in the description below. And I'm really excited to share it with you. Doop, doop, doop. And here's the most important thing to embrace the suck, right? To embrace suffering, to have your self-care and your suffering mean something. You have to be suffering for something that means something to you. So much of why we're unhappy in our modern age is because we're suffering for somebody else's dream. We're suffering because of the stupid emails we can't unsubscribe from. And there's so many different outputs we do every day, big and small, that drain us, that stress us out, that overwhelm us. So really think about, what are you suffering for? What is your vision? What is your dream? And if you don't have one, that's okay. Give yourself some time, do some self-love, self-care. There's tons of stuff here on the channel for that. You can be the hardest worker, the kindest person, the go-getter, but if you're not doing it for what you believe in and what you want, you're suffering for nothing. I believe we have agency in our lives. We get to choose what means the most to us. You get to design your life. I made a whole other video about designing your life, so check out the channel. Thank you for watching. The mosquitoes are coming out now again. The sunset is over, it's getting dark. Have a beautiful day. Or night. It's definitely nighttime now. Let's get out of here. Here's a very real example. I suffered by getting a lot of mosquito bites today, missing the sunset at my swim time, but it was for the purpose of making these videos for you. For me, the suffering is worth it. Make sure your suffering is also worth it. Ow, mosquito!